It's 2:47 a.m. Grace Bennett awakens to a sound that sends an icy dread through her. It's not the wind rattling the window. It's not the neighbor returning late from work. It's a voice she'd never heard before, yet it belongs to someone she's known for 7 years. A voice the doctors had declared would never materialize. Michael Jordan. The words cleave through the pre-dawn stillness like a blade. Grace springs from bed, her heart hammering against her ribs. Her bare feet pound the cold hallway floor toward her daughter's room. The door, creaking slowly open, reveals a scene that defies everything she had believed possible. Chloe is sitting up in bed, her blue eyes fixed on the ceiling, her lips moving with a crystalline clarity that causes Grace to reel. Michael Jordan! Michael Jordan! Grace springs from bed, her heart hammering against her ribs. Her bare feet pound the cold hallway floor toward her daughter's room. The door, creaking slowly open, reveals a scene that defies everything she had believed possible. Chloe is sitting up in bed, her blue eyes fixed on the ceiling, her lips moving with a crystalline clarity that causes Grace to reel. Michael Jordan! Michael Jordan! Grace clutches the door frame, her legs trembling. Chloe Bennett, her 7-year-old daughter, was born mute. She had never uttered a word, never cried as an infant. The doctors had explained malformation of the vocal cords, neurological damage, an incurable case. 7 years of absolute silence. 7 years of therapies, consultations, of hopes both shattered and painstakingly rebuilt. Now she speaks, and she speaks only a single name. Grace enters the room slowly, as if any sudden movement might shatter the miracle. Chloe turns her head. Her eyes gleam with an intensity Grace had never witnessed before. There's something different about them, something not entirely human. Mom, the girl's voice is soft, yet imbued with urgency. He's coming for me. Grace sinks to her knees beside the bed. Tears stream down her dark, weary face. She extends a hand to touch her daughter, but hesitates. What if it's a dream? What if touching Chloe makes it all vanish? Chloe, my love, you're speaking. I always knew I would speak, Chloe says, holding something in her small hands. When he arrived. Grace looks down. In her daughter's hands is a cord strung with a basketball-shaped pendant. The pendant is worn, ancient, as if it had seen decades of use. Grace gasps. She knows that pendant, knows it intimately. Chloe, where did you find this? Daddy gave it to me. Chloe beams, a smile Grace had never witnessed before. He said Michael Jordan would come for me when I needed him. Grace's world collapses. The pendant belonged to Marcus, Chloe's father. Marcus had died in a car accident 3 months before their daughter's birth. Grace had donated all of his belongings to charity years ago. That very pendant had been among them. She felt an absolute certainty. Chloe clutches the pendant to her chest and closes her eyes. He's coming, Mom. I can feel it. Grace surveys the room. The walls are plastered with drawings that weren't there yesterday. Drawings of basketball hoops, dozens of them, rendered in red crayon, as if drawn with blood. Sleep eludes Grace. She spends the remainder of the early morning hours sifting through old boxes, seeking any explanation for the pendant's sudden appearance. Marcus was obsessed with Michael Jordan. He watched every game, collected cards, and wore that pendant every day. He used to say Jordan was more than just a player. He was a symbol that people like them could reach the pinnacle. Our daughter will be just like him, Grace, Marcus used to say, even before they knew the baby's sex. He would caress her belly and declare, she's going to soar. Grace unearths an old photograph. Marcus smiling, wearing the pendant, his hands resting on her belly. The photo is dated, 3 weeks before the accident. She flips the photo over. On the back in his handwriting it reads, to Chloe, when you need strength, remember, champions never quit. Grace's head reels. Marcus had written this for a daughter he never met, for a daughter who would be born mute. How could he have known she would need strength? Dawn breaks as Grace returns to Chloe's room. The girl is awake, toying with the pendant, whispering words Grace cannot discern. Chloe, what are you saying? I'm talking to Daddy, Chloe says, looking at her mother with grave seriousness. He's telling me stories about Michael Jordan, about how he never gave up. A chill courses through Grace's veins. She had never told Chloe about her father's obsession with Jordan. She had never mentioned basketball in the house, never spoken about sports. What kind of stories, sweetheart? Daddy says Michael Jordan lost a lot before he won, that he was cut from his high school team, that everyone doubted him. Chloe clutches the pendant tighter. But he never stopped trying, and now he's going to help me. Grace sits on the bed. Her eyes are red, raw from weeping and from her desperate search for answers. Help you with what, Chloe? With my last game. Chloe smiles, but there's a profound sadness in the gesture. Daddy said everyone has a last game, and mine is coming. Chloe's words echo in the silence. Grace doesn't comprehend, yet something within her writhes with fear. A disquieting urgency permeated her daughter's voice, a wisdom ill-suited to her 7 years. Grace snatched up the phone and dialed Dr. Aaron Bell, Chloe's neurologist since birth. The phone rang 4 times before he answered. Dr. Bell, this is Grace Bennett. I need you to see Chloe today. Something unfathomable has happened. Mrs. Bennett, it's 7 in the morning. What happened? My daughter started speaking. Silence on the other end of the line. That's impossible, Mrs. Bennett. Chloe's tests indicate. Doctor, she is speaking. I heard her, and there's something more. Something you need to see. As Grace hung up the phone, Chloe observed her, her eyes seeming to harbor ancient secrets. He won't believe it, Mom. Chloe shook her head. But Michael Jordan will. Grace glanced out the window. On the street, a tall black man, clad in a hooded tracksuit, walked slowly toward their house. He stopped directly in front of their home and stared intently at Chloe's bedroom window. Grace felt her heart seize. The man waved as if he had known Chloe for years. When Grace blinked, he vanished. The following day, Grace took Chloe to school, but everything had changed. The girl who had spent 7 years in absolute silence now murmured constantly, not normal words, only a name, Michael Jordan. Like a mantra, like a prayer. In the classroom, Mrs. Rodriguez, the teacher, was rooted to the spot when she heard Chloe's voice for the first time. Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan. The other children ceased their activities. Some laughed. Others recoiled in fright. Chloe seemed oblivious. She was fixated on something only she could perceive. Chloe, darling, can you say other words? Mrs. Rodriguez approached slowly. Chloe lifted her gaze. For a moment she appeared disoriented, as if she had just awakened. He's coming, Chloe whispered. I need to be ready. Mrs. Rodriguez looked at Grace, who stood in the classroom doorway, observing everything. A silent communication passed between them. Something was profoundly amiss. During recess, Chloe made her way to the main courtyard, where a mural displayed photographs of former students who had become athletes. She stopped before a specific photograph, a young black man holding a basketball, smiling at the camera. The name beneath read, Marcus Bennett, 1995, State Champions. Grace had never seen that photograph. She had never known Marcus attended that school. She had never known he was a state champion. Chloe's fingertips brushed the photograph. Hi, Daddy, she whispers. I did it. I'm talking. Children around them begin to whisper. Some point. Others snap photos with their parents' phones. Grace feels the situation spiraling out of control. Chloe, let's go home. Grace moves closer. Not yet, Mom. Chloe continues gazing at the photo. He needs to know I'm waiting. Who needs to know? Michael Jordan. Chloe turns to her mother. He's coming today. Grace feels the world spin. How can Chloe be so certain? At that moment, Grace's phone rings. It's an unfamiliar number with a Chicago area code. Hello, Mrs. Bennett? This is David Martinez, Michael Jordan's assistant. We received a letter from you. Mr. Jordan would like to speak with you. Grace nearly drops the phone. She had never written any letter to Michael Jordan. She had never had his address. She had never even considered contacting anyone famous. I didn't write any letter. The letter is signed by you and your daughter, Chloe. She drew a basketball hoop next to the signature. Grace glances at Chloe, who smiles as if she knows exactly what's happening. Mr. Jordan will be in your city tomorrow. He would like to meet Chloe. The call ends. Grace stares at the phone, trying to process what she's just heard. How is this possible? Chloe tugs at her mother's skirt. I told you he was coming. Chloe points to the sky. Daddy arranged everything. Grace looks up. Dark clouds rapidly form, as if a storm is appearing out of nowhere. But it's not a normal storm. The clouds move in strange patterns, almost as if someone is drawing in the sky. Chloe suddenly sways. Her eyes roll back. She collapses onto the schoolyard ground. Chloe! Grace screams. The surrounding children begin to cry. Mrs. Rodriguez rushes toward them. Chloe is convulsing, but her lips continue to move, whispering the same name, Michael Jordan. Grace scoops her daughter into her arms. The basketball pendant is hot, almost scorching. And for the first time since everything began, Grace feels that something terrible is about to happen. Minutes later, St. Mary's Hospital has never seen anything like it. Chloe Bennett, the previously mute girl who recently began speaking, is connected to machines displaying impossible brain activity. Neural waves that should not exist in a human brain. Dr. Aaron Bell examined the monitors with a grave expression. He had practiced neurology for 25 years, but he had never encountered such patterns. Mrs. Bennett, I need you to take a seat. Dr. Bell gestured toward a chair. We need to talk. Grace's gaze remained fixed on her daughter. Chloe had been unconscious for 3 hours, yet her lips continued to move in a silent murmur, as though she were engaged in a conversation with someone only she could perceive. The diagnostic scans reveal something deeply concerning. Dr. Bell hesitated. Chloe has an unprecedented neurological condition. Her brain is undergoing a radical reorganization. What does that mean? It means that the neural connections, which have been dormant since her birth, are all activating simultaneously. It's as if a colossal switch had been thrown in her mind. Grace felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Is this good or bad? Dr. Bell closed his eyes for a moment. Mrs. Bennett, the human brain was not designed to process this magnitude of neural activity. It's as if Chloe is experiencing multiple lives simultaneously, multiple realities concurrently. Doctor, please be explicit. Is my daughter going to be all right? Dr. Bell looked directly into Grace's eyes. Mrs. Bennett, what is happening to Chloe is not merely rare. It is impossible. And when impossible things occur in the human brain, there are typically consequences. What kind of consequences? Her brain is shutting down. It's as if all this neural activity is depleting vital energy. If we cannot understand what is causing this, Dr. Bell didn't need to finish the sentence. Grace understood. How much time does she have? Perhaps a week, perhaps less. Grace collapsed into the chair. 7 years she had waited to hear her daughter's voice. 2 days she had heard her speak. Now she might lose her forever. At that moment, Chloe opened her eyes. She looked directly at Grace with a clarity that cut Grace to the core. Mom, don't cry. Chloe's voice was faint, yet resolute. I need to see him before my last game. Dr. Bell approached the bed. Chloe, do you know where you are? I'm in the hospital. Chloe smiled. But I'm not going to die here. Daddy said Michael Jordan won't allow it. Dr. Bell looked at Grace with a bewildered expression. Mrs. Bennett, to whom is your daughter referring? Michael Jordan, the basketball player. Grace wiped away her tears. He was the first name she uttered when she began to speak. This makes no medical sense, Dr. Bell shakes his head. Why would she become fixated on someone she's never seen? Chloe turns her head toward the doctor. I have seen him, Chloe whispers. He has been visiting me in my dreams since I was born. He and Dad play basketball together, and now he's coming to pick me up. Dr. Bell jots down everything in the medical chart, but Grace can discern the disbelief in his eyes. Doctor, what if she genuinely needs to see Michael Jordan? Grace asks. What if it could help? Mrs. Bennett, with all due respect, your daughter requires medicine, not celebrities. Chloe grasps her mother's hand. Mom, did you write the letter? Grace looks perplexed. What letter, dear? The letter to Michael Jordan. You signed it. I drew the basket. Don't you recall? Grace had never written any such letter. Yet the phone call she received at school confirmed that a letter had indeed been sent, a letter purportedly signed by both her and Chloe. Chloe, I didn't write any letter. Then it must have been Dad. Chloe closes her eyes, still smiling. He always takes care of everything. Dr. Bell glances at the monitors. Chloe's brain activity is escalating again. Mrs. Bennett, she's entering another episode. I'll have to sedate her. No! Chloe's eyes snap open. Don't make me go to sleep. He's coming today. If I'm asleep, he'll leave. Grace checks her watch. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Michael Jordan's assistant had stated he would arrive today. Could it truly be true? Would one of the world's most renowned athletes genuinely make an appearance at a small hospital to visit a girl he had never met? Chloe squeezes her mother's hand. Mom, do you trust me? Grace gazes into her daughter's blue eyes. Over the past 2 days, Chloe had demonstrated knowledge of things she shouldn't have known. She had also revealed connections that ought not to exist. I trust you, dear. Then please let me remain awake to await his arrival. Please. Dr. Bell shakes his head. That is not advisable. At that very moment, the door to the room swung open. A nurse rushed in. Dr. Bell, there's someone downstairs inquiring about Chloe Bennett. Someone famous. Grace felt her heart seize. St. Mary's Hospital lobby had never witnessed such a commotion. Security personnel, journalists, curious onlookers, and hospital staff thronged around Michael Jordan. He was there, in the flesh, clad in a dark suit, sporting sunglasses, and surrounded by a small but efficient entourage. At 63 years old, he still exuded the imposing presence that had cemented his legendary status. Grace observed the scene from a second-floor window. She can't believe what she's seeing. Mrs. Bennett, this is getting out of hand. Dr. Bell is agitated. I cannot allow a circus to be made of my patient. Doctor, what if he really can help? Mrs. Bennett, please. Your daughter has a severe neurological condition. She needs medical treatment, not theatrics. Chloe, who was lying in bed, abruptly props herself up. Her eyes sparkle with a vitality Grace hadn't witnessed since their arrival at the hospital. He's here, Chloe whispers. I can feel it. Grace glances out the window again. Michael Jordan is conversing with someone from the hospital administration. Even from a distance, Grace can discern that he appears different. It's not merely a celebrity engaging in charity. There's an authentic quality to his demeanor. Something urgent. At that moment, the room's door opens. Father Thomas Ford enters slowly. He is the hospital chaplain, a 60-year-old black man with grizzled hair and kind eyes. Grace knows him by sight, but has never spoken with him. Mrs. Bennett, I heard about Chloe, Father Thomas says, approaching them. I came to see if you need anything. Dr. Bell regards the priest with palpable annoyance. Father Ford, with all due respect, this is a medical situation, not a religious one. Dr. Bell, sometimes medicine and faith converge. Father Thomas smiles calmly, especially when we are confronted with something science cannot elucidate. There is nothing science cannot eventually explain, Dr. Bell asserts, crossing his arms. Only things we do not yet comprehend. Chloe looks at the priest. Father, do you believe in miracles? I do, my dear. And you? I know they exist, Chloe declares, pointing to the window. Michael Jordan came. That is a miracle. Dr. Bell shakes his head. That's not a miracle. It's a coincidence. A famous person decided to engage in charity. It happens every day. Doctor, may I pose a question? Father Thomas maintains his placid tone. In all your years of practicing medicine, have you ever witnessed something you couldn't explain? Dr. Bell hesitates. Some cases are unusual. And what do you do with those cases? I study them. I research them until I find a logical explanation. And if you don't? Dr. Bell does not respond. Chloe raises her small hand. May I speak? All eyes turn to her. Dr. Bell, you are an intelligent man, but you have never placed your faith in anything beyond science? Chloe speaks with the sagacity of someone far older. Father Thomas has faith. My mother has faith. I have faith. Michael Jordan has faith. Chloe, how do you know Michael Jordan has faith? Grace inquires. Because Daddy told me. Michael Jordan nearly abandoned everything on numerous occasions, but he always maintained his conviction that he would succeed. A conviction that he was special, a conviction that he had a purpose. Dr. Bell meticulously records everything in the patient's chart. Chloe, your cerebral activity is increasing again. I need to Dr. Bell, may I suggest something? Father Thomas interjects. What if we let Michael Jordan come up? Just for a few minutes. If Chloe improves, it will have been a miracle. If she worsens, you can resume the medical treatment. Absolutely not, Dr. Bell states unequivocally. I will not turn my hospital into a media spectacle. At that moment, the door reopens. It is Dr. Harrison, the hospital director. He appears agitated and is perspiring. Dr. Bell, I need to speak with you. Now they step out into the hallway. Grace can discern fragments of the conversation through the partially ajar door. Michael Jordan wants to see the girl. The press is outside. If we refuse, it will seem like we're concealing something. A medical matter, not a promotional one. He's offering a substantial donation to the hospital. He cannot purchase access to my patients. The discussion grows more intense. Grace glances at Chloe, who seems to be taking everything in. Darling, how are you feeling? I feel complete. Chloe smiles, as if all the pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. Father Thomas approaches the bedside. Chloe, may I ask you a personal question? Of course. Are you afraid? Chloe reflects for a moment. I fear only one thing. She looks at her mother. I'm afraid of dying before completing my mission. What mission, darling? To show everyone that hope is real, that miracles exist, that love is stronger than medicine. Dr. Bell returns to the room. His expression is one of defeat. The director has made his decision. Michael Jordan may come up, but only for 10 minutes, and under full medical supervision. Grace feels her heart quicken. It's finally going to happen. Chloe will meet Michael Jordan. Father Thomas smiles. Sometimes God works in mysterious ways. Dr. Bell glares at him with irritation. This isn't God, Father. This is hospital politics. Chloe closes her eyes and whispers, Daddy, he's coming up. Thank you for arranging everything. Grace looks out the window. The sun is setting, and in the reflection of the glass, for just a second, she sees Marcus's smiling face. 3 days prior, Chicago, Michael Jordan is in his office on the 23rd floor of a glass building that reflects Lake Michigan. At 63 years old, he still possesses the bearing of an athlete, but now his struggle is against paperwork, meetings, and corporate decisions. His assistant, Sarah, knocks on the door. Mr. Jordan, a letter arrived for you. Personal correspondence. Michael looked up from the contracts he was reviewing. Personal correspondence was rare. Most people sent emails or called. Physical letters were typically from fans or donation requests. Leave it on the table, Sarah. I'll get to it later. Mr. Jordan, this letter is different. Michael looked at his assistant. Sarah had been working with him for 10 years. She didn't typically interrupt for fan mail. Different how? It's from a child, a 7-year-old girl, and there's something written that, well, you really should read. Michael took the letter. The envelope was simple, made of inexpensive paper, hand-addressed in an adult's script. But there was something about the envelope that made Michael hesitate before opening it. His hands began to tremble slightly. He opened the letter. The handwriting was feminine, adult, but noticeably nervous. Dear Mr. Michael Jordan, my name is Grace Bennett. I am the mother of 7-year-old Chloe Bennett. My daughter was born mute, but 2 days ago she began to speak. She only says one thing, your name, Michael Jordan. She repeats your name all day long, as if it were a prayer. The doctors cannot explain it, and neither can I. But Chloe insists that you need to come and meet her. She says it's important. She says you will understand when you see her. I know you are a very busy person. I know you must receive thousands of letters, but something inside me tells me this letter is different, that Chloe is special, that you will feel it too. Please consider visiting us. We are in Millbrook, Illinois, not far from you. With hope, Grace Bennett. Beneath the signature, there was a drawing rendered in red crayon, A basketball hoop with wings, as if the hoop itself could fly. And beside the drawing, in large childlike letters, Chloe. Michael read the letter 3 times. There was something about it that profoundly moved him in a way he couldn't articulate. It wasn't merely the narrative of the mute girl who had begun to speak. It was something more profound. Something that stirred long dormant memories he hadn't realized still resided within him. He gazed at the drawing of the winged hoop. For some inexplicable reason, that drawing struck him as familiar, as if he had encountered it before. In a dream, perhaps. Sarah, could you research Grace Bennett? Millbrook, Illinois. Of course, Mr. Jordan. May I ask why? Michael did not respond immediately. He was gazing out the window, but his mind was clearly elsewhere. He was contemplating his own childhood, the instances when he had felt profoundly different. There were times he prayed for someone to believe in him. Sarah, do you believe in signs? Signs, sir? Signs from the universe. Signs that we're on the right path, or that we need to change direction. Sarah hesitates. She had never heard Michael Jordan speak about spiritual matters. I think so, Mr. Jordan. Why? Michael clutches the letter to his chest. Because I just received one. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, thinking about the letter, the drawing, the girl who only spoke his name. There was something about the entire situation that stirred him deeply. At 3 a.m, he finally drifted off to sleep, and he dreamt. In his dream, he was on a basketball court, but it wasn't an ordinary court. It was a court in the sky, surrounded by clouds. There was a black man beside him, someone he'd never seen before, yet who seemed familiar. You received the letter, the man said. Who are you? Michael asked. I'm Marcus, Chloe's father, the man smiled. Thank you for considering helping my daughter. Marcus, are you dead? That doesn't matter now. What matters is that Chloe needs you. She's dying, Michael, and you're the only person who can save her. How can I save a child I don't even know? You'll understand when you see her. Marcus picked up a basketball that materialized out of thin air. Chloe isn't an ordinary child. She's special, just as you were special as a child. Marcus, why does your daughter only say my name? Because you represent hope for her. You represent the possibility that people like us can soar. Marcus tossed the ball. It ascended, and vanished among the clouds. And now she needs to soar higher than any of us. Michael awoke abruptly. It was 4:30 a.m. He was sweating, his heart pounding. The dream had been so vivid he could still smell the court in the sky. He grabbed his phone and called his personal assistant. David, it's me. I need you to clear my schedule for tomorrow. Mr. Jordan, it's 4:30 a.m, and you have a meeting with the Nike investors. Cancel everything. I'm going to Millbrook, Illinois. May I ask why? Michael glanced at Grace's letter, still on his nightstand. Because a 7-year-old girl is waiting for me. Michael Jordan had never made a decision so swiftly in his corporate life. In 2 hours, he had arranged a trip to a small town he'd never heard of, to meet a child he'd never seen, for a reason he couldn't rationally explain. David Martinez, his assistant of 15 years, was perplexed. Mr. Jordan, might I suggest we reconsider? Going in person could set unrealistic expectations. Perhaps a video call. David, how many times have I told you about intuition? Countless times, sir. My intuition led me to 6 NBA championships. It led me to build an empire. Michael adjusted his shirt cuffs. And now it's leading me to Millbrook. Michael's private jet departed Chicago at 10 a.m. During the flight, he reread the letter repeatedly. There was something in Grace's words that resonated with him. Desperation mingled with hope, the same blend he had encountered countless times in his own life. Michael picked up his phone and dialed St. Mary's Hospital. Hello, this is Michael Jordan. I'd like to speak with the Bennett family. Silence on the other end of the line. Mr. Jordan? The Michael Jordan? Yes, I received a letter regarding Chloe Bennett. I'd like to visit her today, if that's possible. More silence. Mr. Jordan, I'll transfer you to administration. While on hold, Michael pondered last night's dream. Marcus had seemed so real, so urgent, as if time were running out. When the jet touched down in Millbrook, a small crowd had gathered at the airport. News travels fast in small towns. The mayor was there. Local journalists. Curious onlookers. Michael hadn't anticipated this. "Mr. Jordan," a journalist shouted, "is it true you've come to see a sick girl?" Michael offered no reply. He entered the limousine David had arranged and headed directly to the hospital. En route, he gazed out the window. Millbrook was a quintessential American Midwest town. Small houses, tree-lined streets, people going about their day. It was the kind of place where he had grown up, the kind of place where dreams seemed unattainable until someone made them a reality. "Mr. Jordan, the national press is already calling." David gestured with his phone. "CNN, ESPN, TMZ. Everyone wants to know why you're here. And what are you telling them?" "That we have no comment at this time." Michael nodded. He himself didn't know why he was there. How could he explain to the press something he didn't comprehend? Upon arriving at the hospital, an even larger crowd awaited them. Cameras, microphones, onlookers. Michael steps out of the limousine wearing sunglasses, yet is instantly recognized. "Michael Jordan! Michael Jordan!" He walks briskly towards the hospital entrance, disregarding the queries of the press. But one question brings him to a halt. "Mr. Jordan, is it true that the girl spoke your name when she first began to speak?" Michael turns to the journalist who posed the question. He is a young black man with earnest eyes. "How did you know that?" "The girl's family is well known here. Everyone knows about Chloe. She has never spoken in her life, and the first word she uttered was your name. The entire city is abuzz with it." Michael feels a shiver course through him. If the entire city knows, then it's real. It's not the figment of a desperate mother's imagination. "Why do you think she says my name?" Michael asked the journalist. "I don't know, Mr. Jordan, but if it were my daughter, I'd want you to be here as well." Michael enters the hospital. The lobby is teeming with people, but a respectful hush falls as he passes. People observe him, but no one approaches him. It's as if everyone understands that something momentous is transpiring. At the reception desk, a nurse immediately recognizes him. "Mr. Jordan, the Bennett family is on the second floor, room 237. Michael boards the elevator. During the 40-second ascent, he contemplates everything that has led him there. The letter, the dream, the intuition, the profound sense that he is embarking on something life-altering. The elevator doors glide open. Michael walks down the corridor towards room 237. With each step, his conviction intensifies. He needs to be there, for reasons he doesn't yet comprehend but which will soon become apparent. He stops before the room's door. Voices emanate from within. A woman's voice, weary yet hopeful. An older man's voice, skeptical. And a small, fragile voice that evokes in Michael a feeling he hasn't experienced in years. Protection, urgency, purpose. Michael knocks on the door. The room door slowly opens. Michael Jordan stands there, his imposing presence filling the doorway. Grace feels her legs tremble. Dr. Bell stands transfixed. Father Thomas smiles as if he has awaited this moment his entire life. But it is Chloe who has the strongest reaction. She sits up in the hospital bed, her blue eyes illuminating as if she had seen an angel. "You came," she whispers. "I knew you would." Michael slowly enters the room. He removes his sunglasses and looks directly at Chloe. For a moment, time stops. There's an instant connection between them, something that transcends logical explanation. "Hi, Chloe," Michael says, approaching the bed. "I'm Michael." "I know who you are," Chloe smiles. "Dad told me about you in my dreams." Grace approaches. "Mr. Jordan, I don't know how to thank you. I truly didn't expect you to come." Michael looks at Grace. He sees the weariness in her eyes, but also the strength. The same strength his own mother possessed when raising 5 children alone. "Mrs. Bennett, I received your letter. And, well, I knew I had to come." Dr. Bell approaches with evident skepticism. "Mr. Jordan, I'm Dr. Bell, Chloe's neurologist. I must warn you that she has a serious medical condition. Any strong emotion could worsen her state." Michael nods respectfully. "Doctor, may I speak with her for a few minutes?" "Of course, but I'll be monitoring her vital signs." Michael sits in the chair beside Chloe's bed. She observes him with an intensity that surprises him. It's not the gaze of a child impressed by a celebrity. It's the look of someone who has known him for a very long time. Chloe, your mother told me you started speaking a few days ago. I started speaking when I knew you were coming. How did you know I was coming? Chloe points to the basketball pendant around her neck. Dad told me. He said you always respond when someone truly needs help. Michael looks at the pendant. There's something familiar about it, something that stirs old memories. Chloe, may I see your pendant? Chloe takes off the necklace and hands it to Michael. The moment he touches the pendant, he feels a wave of emotions that almost overwhelms him. Memories that are not his own. Images of a young black man playing basketball on a school court. The same man from his dream. Was this pendant your father's? It was. He wore it when he played basketball. Mom says he was really good. Michael looks at Grace. Mrs. Bennett, did your husband play basketball? He did. Marcus was obsessed with basketball, especially with you. Grace wipes away a tear. He died before Chloe was born, in a car accident. Michael feels his heart clench. The story's beginning to make sense in a way that defies logic. Chloe, you said your father talks to you? He does, every night. He tells me stories about you, about how you never gave up, about how you always believed you could fly. Michael surveys the room. Dr. Bell is diligently taking notes, clearly skeptical. Father Thomas is smiling. Grace is silently weeping. Chloe, what else did your father tell you about me? He said you were going to teach me to fly. Chloe extends her small hands, but not with a basketball, in a different way. What way? With your heart. Chloe places her hand over her chest. Daddy said that when special people meet, they can perform miracles together, Dr. Bell interjects. Mr. Jordan, Chloe's vital signs are severely erratic. Perhaps it would be best if… No! Chloe stirs agitatedly in the bed. He just arrived. We're not finished yet. Michael takes Chloe's small hand. It's all right. I'll stay here for as long as you need me. At that moment, something extraordinary occurs. A tear trickles from Chloe's eye, yet she is smiling. And on the medical monitors, for the first time since her admission to the hospital, her vital signs stabilize completely. Dr. Bell gazes at the machines in utter astonishment. This is impossible. Father Thomas steps closer. No, doctor. This is faith. Michael continues to hold Chloe's hand, and for the first time since receiving the letter, he comprehends why he is there. It's not about basketball. It's not about celebrity. It's about human connection. It's about hope. It's about believing in things that science cannot explicate. Chloe, do you feel better? I feel complete. Chloe closes her eyes, yet continues to smile. As if all the pieces of the puzzle have finally fallen into place. Michael looks at Grace. Mrs. Bennett, may I stay a little longer? You are welcome to remain as long as you wish, Mr. Jordan. However, just as Grace concluded her statement, the monitors began to shriek wildly. Chloe's eyes snapped open abruptly, her countenance etched with alarm. Mother, something is amiss. Dr. Bell dashed toward the equipment. She's entering a neurological crisis. Everyone out. Now! Michael began to rise, but Chloe gripped his hand with astonishing strength. Don't leave me, she whispered. Please, I need you to stay. Michael directed his gaze toward Dr. Bell, who was desperately attempting to stabilize the apparatus. Doctor, may I remain? Mr. Jordan, this situation could prove perilous. Chloe's grip on Michael's hand intensified. If you leave, I'm leaving too. Forever. Michael felt the full gravity of Chloe's words. He gazed into her eyes and discerned something that unnerved him. An unyielding resolve. It was as though she were steeling herself for a decisive, ultimate confrontation. I'm not going anywhere, Chloe, I promise. The monitors persisted in their frantic beeping. Dr. Bell, visibly desperate, was attempting to stabilize the volatile situation. Grace was weeping. Father Thomas was murmuring prayers. And amidst the swirling chaos, Chloe uttered a whisper that sent a shiver down Michael's spine. My father said everyone gets a final game, and mine has just begun. The ensuing 30 minutes proved to be the most protracted of Michael Jordan's existence. Chloe drifted in and out of consciousness, yet each time she regained lucidity, her eyes sought him out, as though he were her sole anchor to reality. Dr. Bell worked frantically, administering medication, fine-tuning the equipment, and conducting tests. Yet nothing proved effective. Chloe's vital signs remained stubbornly unstable. "Dr. Bell, what is transpiring with her?" Grace inquired, her voice laced with desperation. "Her brain is processing an overwhelming influx of information. It's as though every neural connection is firing simultaneously." Dr. Bell wiped the perspiration from his brow. "I have never witnessed anything remotely similar." Michael maintained his steadfast grip on Chloe's hand. Each time her eyes fluttered open, he addressed her. "Hey there, champion!" "You are fighting admirably." "Michael," Chloe whispered faintly, "could you recount your most arduous games?" "Of course I can." Michael began to recount the story of Game 6 of the 1998 finals. He described how he had been gravely ill, plagued by a fever, yet refused to yield. He elaborated on how he executed one of the most pivotal shots in basketball history, even as general consensus deemed it impossible for him to succeed. As Michael continued to speak, a peculiar phenomenon occurred. Chloe's vital signs began to show signs of stabilization, not entirely but sufficiently to allay Dr. Bell's panic. "Keep speaking, Mr. Jordan," Dr. Bell whispers. "Whatever you're doing, it's working." Michael continues recounting tales of defeats that transmuted into victories, of moments when he wished to surrender, yet found the fortitude to persevere, of the paramount importance of never relinquishing belief. Chloe listens with rapt attention. Even in moments when she appears unconscious, her lips subtly move, as if she is silently mouthing his words. "Michael," Chloe's eyes flutter open once more. "Can you teach me your special throw?" Michael smiles. "Which special throw?" "The hope shot." Chloe attempts to sit up in bed. "Dad said you have a throw that never misses when someone needs hope." A shiver runs through Michael. He had never heard of a hope shot, yet somehow he knows precisely what Chloe is referring to. "Chloe, would you like to attempt this throw with me?" "May I?" Michael glances at Dr. Bell, who gives a hesitant nod. "Of course you may, but let's take it slow, all right?" Michael assists Chloe in sitting up in bed. He retrieves a piece of paper from the table and crumples it into a small ball. "First, you close your eyes and visualize everything you wish to transpire." Chloe closes her eyes. "Now you take a deep breath and imbue the ball with all your faith." Chloe takes a deep breath. "And when you throw, you don't aim for the basket. You aim for the heart of the one you cherish." Chloe opens her eyes and gazes directly at Grace. "I love you, Mom." And she tosses the paper ball toward her mother. The moment the paper ball is released from Chloe's grasp, something extraordinary transpires. All medical monitors fall silent. Her vital signs become perfectly stable. Her breathing normalizes. Her blood pressure returns to normal. Dr. Bell stares at the machines with utter disbelief. This is impossible." Chloe smiles at Michael. "It worked. The hope shot worked." Michael feels tears welling in his eyes. He had experienced many profoundly special moments in his life, but he had never felt anything quite like this. "Chloe, how do you feel?" "I feel new, as if I've just truly come into being." Grace rushes to the bedside and embraces her daughter. "My God, Chloe, you're well. You're truly well." Father Thomas approaches. Sometimes miracles occur when we least expect them. Bell remains fixated on the monitors. There must be a scientific explanation. There simply must. Michael rises and places a hand on the doctor's shoulder. "Dr. Bell, sometimes the most profound explanations don't originate from science. They emanate from the heart." Chloe calls out to Michael. "Michael, may I tell you a secret?" "Of course. I knew you would heal me. Daddy told me you possess special powers." "Chloe, I don't possess special powers." "Oh, yes, you do." Chloe smiles. "You have the power to make people believe in themselves. And when people truly believe, miracles unfold." Michael surveys the room. Grace is weeping with joy. Father Thomas is offering prayers of gratitude. Dr. Bell is attempting to comprehend what he has just witnessed, and Chloe, the girl who spent 7 years in silence, is speaking with the fluency of someone who has always had a voice. "Michael, could you stay a little longer?" Chloe asks. "There's something I need to ask you." "Of course, Chloe. What do you need?" Chloe looks at her mother, then at the priest, and then at the doctor. "I want to help other children like me, children who have lost hope." Chloe takes Michael's hand. "Can you help me do that?" Michael feels something shifting within him, a sense of purpose he hadn't experienced in years. "Chloe, it would be an honor to assist you." But the instant Michael finishes speaking, the monitors begin to alarm again, this time in a different manner. More urgent, more desperate. Chloe gazes at the devices with an expression of one who comprehends something the adults do not. "It's time for my last pitch," she whispers. Dr. Bell rushes to the monitors. "She's going into full collapse. Prepare the ICU." Michael clutches Chloe's hand. "What last pitch, Chloe?" "The pitch that will save everyone." Chloe smiles, but her strength is ebbing. "Daddy said that sometimes one person must sacrifice themselves so that many others may be saved." Michael's heart plummets. "Chloe, no. You'll be all right. We've only just met." "Michael," Chloe whispers with her last vestiges of strength. "Promise me you'll continue to perform miracles?" And before Michael can respond, Chloe closes her eyes and all the monitors fall silent. The silence in room 237 is deafening. The monitors that displayed Chloe's vital signs now exhibit flat lines. Dr. Bell works frantically, administering emergency procedures, but his movements are becoming increasingly sluggish, as if he himself knew the battle was lost. Grace collapses to her knees beside the bed, clutching her daughter's small, cold hand. "No, no, no," she whispers. "Chloe, come back to me. Please, come back to me." Michael remains on the other side of the bed, still holding Chloe's other hand. He had never felt such utter powerlessness. On basketball courts, he always found a way to win. There was always one more shot, one more play, one more chance. But here, in the face of a child's death, all his trophies and achievements meant nothing. Father Thomas approaches and places his hands on Chloe. "Our Father, who art in heaven," he begins to pray softly. Dr. Bell finally ceases. He looks at the wall clock. "Time of death, 6:47 p.m. His voice is broken. I'm so sorry. I did everything I could." Michael looks at Dr. Bell. "Doctor, isn't there anything else? Any experimental procedure? Anything at all?" "Mr. Jordan, her brain has completely ceased functioning." Dr. Bell removes his stethoscope. "Even if we could resuscitate her, the neurological damage would be irreversible." Grace lifts her head. "Irreversible, meaning she would never speak." There's a burgeoning fury in her voice. "She shouldn't have spoken. She shouldn't have met you. She shouldn't have—" Grace stops, realizing what she's saying. Michael feels guilt weighing heavily on his chest. "Mrs. Bennett, if I hadn't come—" "No." Grace wipes away her tears. "It wasn't your fault. You gave her what she always wanted. You believed in her." At that moment, the room door opens. David Martinez, Michael's assistant, enters nervously. "Mr. Jordan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but—" He stops when he sees the scene. "What happened?" "She's gone, David." Michael cannot take his eyes off Chloe. "The girl is gone." David approaches respectfully. "Mr. Jordan, there's something you need to know about Chloe Bennett." Everyone looks at David. "I did some research on the family as you requested." David consults a tablet. Marcus Bennett, Chloe's father, was indeed an exceptional basketball player. He had a guaranteed scholarship to Duke University. Grace looks at David with interest. "He never told me about Duke." "There's more," David continues reading. "Arleshom, Marcus was en route to execute the contract at the university when he met with the accident. It was March 15th, 2017. A shiver ran down Michael's spine. "David, are you absolutely certain of these dates?" "Unequivocally, yet there's something even more peculiar." David presented his tablet. "I came across a local newspaper article concerning the accident. Marcus Bennett told the paramedics, before he passed away, 'Tell my daughter that Michael Jordan will look after her.'" Grace clutched Chloe's cold hand. How could he have known it would be a girl? And how could he have known about Michael Jordan? Father Thomas interjected. Michael gazed at the basketball pendant still adorning Chloe's neck. There was something in that moment that defied rational elucidation, a pervasive sense that higher powers were orchestrating the convergence of their destinies. David, could you delve deeper into any potential leads on experimental treatments? Anything that might— Mr. Jordan, Dr. Bell interrupted. She has departed. There is nothing further we can do. Michael rose and approached the window. Outside, a throng of individuals had gathered. Journalists, the curious, local inhabitants, all awaiting news regarding Chloe. Dr. Bell, may I pose a question? Michael pivoted to face the physician. Of course. Throughout your extensive medical career, have you ever witnessed anything akin to what transpired here today? Dr. Bell hesitated. What exactly do you mean? A nonverbal child who suddenly vocalizes, vital signs inexplicably normalizing, an undeniable nexus between two individuals previously unacquainted. Dr. Bell cast his gaze upon Chloe. I have never witnessed anything remotely similar. So, do you believe something extraordinary transpired here? Dr. Bell delayed his response. Mr. Jordan, I am fundamentally a man of empirical reasoning, but— He paused, his gaze fixed directly on Michael. Yes, something special occurred here. Something that utterly eludes my comprehension, and likely always will. At that moment, David's phone buzzed with an incoming call. He answered with alacrity. Mr. Jordan, it's the Chicago Hospital, concerning novel experimental therapies for rare neurological conditions. Michael hastened to seize the phone. Hello, Mr. Jordan, this is Dr. Patricia Santos from Northwestern Hospital. I've been apprised of the young girl's case. We have an experimental treatment that could potentially— Indeed, it might represent her final recourse. Michael looked at Dr. Bell. Doctor, how long has she been deceased? 17 minutes. Michael re-engaged with the call. Dr. Santos, is intervention still viable? Documented instances of successful resuscitation have been observed up to 30 minutes post-cardiac arrest, especially in children, but we would need to transfer her immediately to our hospital. Michael looks at Grace. Miss Bennett, there's a possibility, a slim one, but it exists. Grace rises immediately. Do whatever is necessary. Dr. Bell shakes his head. Miss Bennett, the chances are almost non-existent, and even if it works— Doctor, Michael interjects, when I was a child, everyone said the chances of a black kid from a poor neighborhood making it to the NBA were non-existent. Sometimes non-existent is just a word we use when we don't want to try. Michael picks up the phone again. Dr. Santos, prepare everything. We're heading to Chicago. And at that moment, something impossible happens. One of the machines connected to Chloe emits a faint beep, then another, and another. Dr. Bell rushes to the monitors. This is impossible. There's cardiac activity. Grace approaches the bed. Chloe, can you hear me? Chloe's lips move slightly. She whispers something only Michael can hear. Last shot. It's not over yet. The emergency flight to Chicago is a race against time and medical logic to administer the experimental treatment. Chloe is connected to portable life support devices, hovering between existence and oblivion. Dr. Bell, who initially refused to participate in what he termed an exercise in futility, is now working intensely to keep her stable. Michael doesn't leave her side by the gurney throughout the flight. He holds Chloe's small hand and continues talking to her, even though she shows no signs of consciousness. Chloe, do you remember the story I told you about Game 6 of the finals? Michael whispers. I was so sick I could barely stand, but I knew my teammates needed me. I scored 38 points in that game, Chloe, even with a fever, even nearly collapsing, because I believed. And now it's your turn to believe. Michael's voice falters, but he squeezes her hand firmly. The plane shakes slightly. The cabin lights flicker for a second. The constant hum of the medical equipment accompanies the tense silence in the cabin. Dr. Bell checks her vital signs with worried eyes. Pressure stable, for now, but we need to land in no more than 30 minutes. Grace, sitting on the other side, watches Michael. She used to listen to that game on YouTube every night. She knew the lines by heart, even without ever speaking. Michael closes his eyes, visibly moved. Chloe, if you can come back, I promise you one thing, he swallows hard. You'll shoot with me. On the court. Just you and me. One shot. Suddenly an alarm blares. She's losing oxygen, Dr. Bell shouts. Michael springs to his feet. No, not now. Hold on, Chloe. You're stronger than any defense I've ever faced. Dr. Bell repositions the tubes. The alarm ceases. The silence becomes even more brutal. Michael kneels beside the gurney. Heavenly Father, if you're listening, save this girl. Not for me, for her, because she believes, and that should be enough. The roar of the jet engines slices through the pre-dawn silence of Chicago. On the airport tarmac, a medical convoy awaits like soldiers in combat formation. Ambulances, equipment, a race against the clock that should have already ended. Michael clutches Chloe's icy hand as the plane hits the tarmac with a jarring thud. The girl is paper white, breathing through machines that hum with uncertain promises. Grace prays ceaselessly under her breath, the words spilling forth like invisible tears. Time has become our enemy, Dr. Bell bellows over the dying roar of the engines. We have 15 minutes to stabilize her before the first dose. This treatment is all or nothing. All or nothing. The words reverberate like a gunshot to Grace's chest. The jet door hisses open, and the biting Chicago cold invades the cabin like a death knell. The medical team boards swiftly, moving with unerring precision. Chloe is transferred from the aircraft onto a specialized gurney, surrounded by monitors flashing desperate readings. The experimental serum, freshly authorized by the FDA on an emergency basis, is handled as if it were liquid gold. Every drop is worth more than diamonds. Every lost second is a life slipping through their fingers. Michael does not release Chloe's hand for an instant. Even as paramedics attempt to pull him away, he resists. Chloe, he whispers, running alongside the gurney. Remember what I told you on the plane? When the whole world doubts us, when they say we can't, that's when we prove them wrong. The girl's eyes remain closed, but her fingers clench faintly. A sign, a flicker of hope in an abyss of despair. Grace runs desperately beside the gurney, stumbling through her own tears. Please, doctor, she implores, clutching Dr. Bell's lab coat. Don't let my daughter leave this world believing that magic has vanished. Don't let her die with her hopes unfulfilled. Inside the hospital, the corridor transforms into a blur of motion. Fluorescent lights flash past as the medical team shouts technical commands that sound like foreign incantations. Emergency room 3, a nurse bellows. Ready the defibrillator, another doctor shouts. Where's the serum? We need it now! Chloe is rushed into a sterile white room, surrounded by machines that resemble robotic sentinels. The procedure begins immediately. The new therapy, a revolutionary combination of stem cells and induced neuroplasticity, is administered intravenously. Dr. Bell positions himself like a general commanding the most crucial battle of his career. His hands, which have operated thousands of times, tremble imperceptibly. First dose administered, the nurse declared. An eerie, heavy silence descended upon the room. It was as though time itself had paused, holding its breath to witness the miracle unfold. Each agonizing second stretched into an eternity. Every thudding heartbeat resonated like a distant war drum. Michael, casting aside medical protocols, drew closer to the bed. Grace stood on the opposite side, clutching her daughter's unoccupied hand. The neurons are responding, Dr. Bell murmured, his gaze, sharp as a hawk's, fixed intently on the monitors. She must respond within the next 5 minutes. If not, he left the sentence suspended in the air, the unspoken consequence hanging heavy. There was no need to articulate it. The cardiac monitor's rhythm began to falter. The beeps grew more infrequent, then fainter, like a heart surrendering its struggle to beat. Blood pressure plummeting rapidly, the nurse reported, her voice taut with alarm. 80 over 50, 70 over 40. Irregular cardiac rhythm, another physician cried out. She's entering bradycardia. Grace let out a choked cry. Michael's eyes squeezed shut, yet his grip on Chloe's hand remained unbroken. Prepare the epinephrine, Dr. Bell commanded, though his voice betrayed a profound defeat he strove desperately to conceal. Michael bent over Chloe, his voice a low, unyielding steel. Chloe, if you're still in there, remember our promise? I taught you that champions don't surrender when the game grows arduous. They compete until the final second, seizing every last opportunity. Now, my little warrior, it's your moment. Silence. The monitors continued their mournful serenade, a dirge of farewell. Grace leaned over her daughter, her tears tracing paths down the child's angelic countenance. Chloe, my love, she whispered, her voice fractured with anguish. Come back to me, my daughter. Return to your mother. I still have so much to impart to you. We still have countless stories yet to live together. Dr. Bell's gaze darted to the clock. 2 minutes elapsed, then 3, then 4. Doctor, the nurse murmured, her voice barely audible. She's unresponsive. Her vital signs are... And then a tear, a single crystalline tear, like a pearl, slowly descended from the corner of Chloe's left eye, tracing a path down her pallid cheek. Michael was the first to witness it. His heart lurched within his chest. Look, he exclaimed, his voice raw with disbelief and hope. She's weeping. Dr. Bell moved swiftly to her side. The monitors began to register a shift. The cardiac beat, which had been on the verge of cessation, slowly, miraculously began to regain its vigor. It's impossible, Doctor, Bell murmured, his voice laced with awe as he scrutinized the instruments. Neural activity. It's escalating. Blood pressure rising, the nurse announced, her voice tinged with incredulity. 90 over 60, 100 over 70. Heart rate is stabilizing, another doctor exclaims. She's returning. Grace dissolves into tears of profound relief. Michael squeezes Chloe's hand more tightly, feeling a gentle pressure in response. Dr. Bell removes his glasses and meticulously cleans them with trembling hands. 40 years in medicine, and he had never witnessed anything remotely akin to this. Her body, he whispers, still grappling with the impossible, has fully embraced the treatment. It hasn't merely accepted it. It's responding in a manner that defies all scientific projections. She has a genuine chance, a true chance at life. Michael smiles through tears, his tear-brimmed eyes sparkling like distant stars. This girl has just made the impossible seem utterly trivial, he whispers, kissing her hand. She has just imparted a profound lesson in faith to the entirety of Chicago. 24 hours later, as the sun rises over the windy city, Chloe opens her eyes, perfectly lucid. Her cerulean eyes gleam with an unprecedented clarity, as if she had glimpsed the other side and deliberately chosen to return. She looks at Michael, then at Grace, and smiles, a shy yet radiant smile. I won the game, didn't I? She asks, her voice crystalline. Michael laughs through tears. Little champion, you didn't just win the game. You have fundamentally rewritten the rules. 2 days later, the hospital room is illuminated not only by the window's light, but by Chloe's vibrant presence, sitting up in bed, a blanket draped over her slender legs. She is still weak, but her eyes gleam with an intensity never before seen. Michael enters bearing a basket of fruit and a stack of letters. She has received over 300 letters since yesterday, he says, chuckling, some from children who had previously been nonverbal and who now utter only, Michael Jordan. Grace beside her smiles and gently adjusts her daughter's pillow. You've become a legend, my dear girl. Chloe looks at Michael. I dreamed of you before I spoke your name. In the dream, you held my hand and said everything would be all right. Michael struggles to compose himself, attempting to mask his emotion. And now you're here, speaking, living. She lifts the basketball pendant hanging from her neck, a gift from him. And playing, she says, even without leaving the bed. At that very instant, Dr. Bell enters, a subdued smile gracing his lips. The tests confirm it. The neurological condition has vanished. The treatment has surpassed all our expectations. Grace covers her mouth with her hands. Silent tears stream down her face. Chloe gazes at Michael with an expression of childlike resolve. May I now help other children like myself? Michael sits beside her. This has already begun, Chloe. Her voice became a beacon, and it will reverberate far beyond this hospital. Weeks later, the hospital auditorium in Chicago, softly illuminated, was packed. Doctors, journalists, patients, mothers cradling children, all waited in respectful silence. On the back wall, a banner displayed the words, Faith, Hope, and Voice, the motto of the new program, established in Chloe's name. She entered with resolute steps, still slender, yet possessing the erect posture of someone who had triumphed over the impossible. She wore a pale yellow dress, and around her neck, a silver chain with a basketball pendant, a gift from Michael. Michael Jordan stood beside her, discreet, yet visibly moved. His eyes followed the girl's every step, as if observing a miracle he had helped bring to fruition. Chloe ascended the stage. She took the microphone. Absolute silence. I was unable to speak for 7 years, she began, her voice soft but resolute. And when I spoke for the first time, I could only utter one name, Michael Jordan. The audience held its breath. Chloe smiled, unafraid. I didn't know why, she continued. I just felt that name was safe, that it belonged to someone who believed in the voiceless. Today, I understand why. She looked at Michael, who nodded with a restrained smile. I was gravely ill, profoundly so, and I had lost faith in everything. But when he appeared, even without knowing me, he stayed. He stayed when the doctors no longer knew what to do. He stayed when I almost gave up, and that changed everything. Grace wept discreetly in the front row. Dr. Bell, further back, observed with tear-filled eyes. Father Thomas was present and was visibly moved. Science saved me, Chloe continued, but it was faith that led me to it. It was my mother. It was Michael, and it was God. I believe that. The audience was spellbound. I am alive, and I want to use my voice now for those who cannot yet speak. Every child who feels invisible, forgotten, or overlooked, you matter, and someone will listen to you. She raised the necklace with the pendant. This, she said, holding it up, is my reminder that even in the darkest moments, someone can arrive, someone can hear, even if it seems impossible. Michael rose and walked over to her. He embraced Chloe gently. Then he took the microphone. You have just heard the most courageous person I know. The audience erupted in applause. Several faces were visibly moved. A woman stood up, holding a quiet little girl in her arms. My daughter didn't speak either, she said, her voice choked with emotion. But yesterday, she looked at me and said, Michael Jordan. All eyes turned. The little girl smiled. She looked at Chloe on stage, and in a timid yet clear voice, she said, Hi. Silence. Then tears. Then applause. Michael whispered to Chloe, You didn't just regain your voice, Chloe. You gave a voice to a multitude of other children. She looked at him and replied, her eyes shining, And this is just the beginning. A few months later, the spring sun streamed into the living room of the small Chicago home where Chloe and Grace now lived. Simple, cozy, with mother and daughter photos scattered across the shelves. And one prominently displayed, featuring Michael Jordan smiling between them. Chloe was seated at the kitchen table, surrounded by colorful letters from around the world, some bearing children's drawings, others penned by the trembling hands of hopeful parents. There's one from South Africa, Mom, she said excitedly, a 6-year-old boy who started speaking after seeing me in the video. Grace was drying dishes, but her eyes constantly welled up. It was hard to believe that this articulate girl, full of energy and strong opinions, was the same one who, months ago, could barely open her eyes. This is a miracle, Chloe. Chloe looked at her mother seriously. It's not just a miracle, Mom. It's a mission. I'm alive for a reason, and I want to keep speaking for those who still cannot. She stood up and went to the window. Outside, Michael Jordan was arriving with a backpack on his back and a basketball in his hands. He's coming to train with me today, Chloe said with a wide smile. Train what? Grace laughed. You still can't dribble. It doesn't matter. He said courage is more important than technique. Grace approached. She gently touched her daughter's shoulder. Chloe, do you realize the impact you've had? I did. You've changed the lives of people all over the world, and you've changed me too. Chloe pondered for a moment. Do you think Dad would be proud? Grace hesitated, but she smiled. Very much so. He called you a champion since the ultrasound, and now you are. Michael knocked on the door. Time for practice, he said, stepping inside. Chloe ran to him, hugging him tightly. Did you bring the ball? Of course, and I brought something else too. He pulled a golden envelope from his backpack. What's this? An invitation to speak at the foundation. They want you to be the global ambassador of hope. Chloe's eyes widened. Me? You. She opened the envelope. Inside, a badge bore her name and the title. Chloe Bennett, Voice of Hope. I don't know what to say. Michael smiled. Speak what your heart dictates. Chloe took a deep breath. Her gaze fell upon the badge, then her mother, then Michael. Then I'll say one thing. What's that? Thank you for believing in me even when I couldn't believe in myself. And now, let's share this hope with everyone. Michael opened the door. Come on, champ. Chloe picked up the ball. She walked out alongside Michael. The sky was clear, the street hushed. But within her, everything found its voice. Everything was illuminated. And on that day, the world didn't merely hear Chloe, it listened. If you believe in the transformative power of faith and hope, subscribe to our channel now and enable notifications so you don't miss any stories like this one.